Hi everyone, Kunimitsu here. You read the title of the video, so we're going to go straight into it on what my overall thoughts are on Dragula season 4 as a season. We're not at the top 4 episode just yet, or top 3, because we still don't know, but let's be real, we know it's going to be a top 4. We know because usually the reason a cliffhanger like that happens is either if they double eliminate like in season 1 or don't eliminate.
They already got the cash budget from Drag Race, so it wouldn't shock me if they took inspiration and had a top 4 instead of a top 3 now. So, with that out the way, I am actually going to give my thoughts very briefly on what I think of the season. I'm not going to go over too many eliminations because I don't want this video to be ridiculously long. I'll just kind of briefly go over my thoughts each episode because my main thing I'm going to talk about is the top 4. So, episode 1, don't really agree with a lot of the placements. I personally do not agree with Formelda being in the bottom, just because I think there were others on that stage that had significantly worse looks. Just my opinion. Still don't know why she was in the bottom, but sure, go with it. And, we got what we got. So, like I said, there's really not a lot to talk about in episode 1 because, again, not a lot happens in episode 1. So, moving on. Episode 2, Dolly's in the competition finally. That was great. My thoughts on episode 2, I think episode 2 was a good episode. Again, there's not really much to discuss. I've already said my thoughts on Mary Cherry in 2 separate videos, but just to recap, no, I don't think she's a misogynist, and no, I don't think people should be sending her these hateful messages, and I think people should just leave Mary alone. Now, I will say this because I did not make this clear in the original video because I was, again, defending Mary because she was the one receiving the most amount of hate. I do not want any hatred sent to Sigourney either. She is allowed to be on this competition. She is valid to be there. She does not deserve any hateful messages whatsoever. And she's allowed to be there. So do not send hate to her either, because if you send hate to her and I catch it on any social medias, you will get blocked immediately. So with that out the way, episode 2, Astrid went home, and I mean, it was kind of fair. Episode 3, I actually was very confused about these critiques, and I will say it here. Episode 3, why, oh why, are you going to, because again, I'm not judging how you want to host it however you want to host it, but why are you going to tell somebody, Coco, why are you going to tell her she's doing the same character every week? What? Yeah, because that's her character. That's what she does. Which I'm not offended or upset when you tell a queen to switch it up because that's what you sign up for. But the thing is, Hoso has switched it up. Her first look was a gown with gorgeous fox braids. Her second look was a bathing suit with poofy hair. And her third look was a literal pig with a poofy dress. I'm not saying it's the best look I've seen in the world. I'm not saying that at all. But to sit here and say all 3 of those are the same, but then you have queens like Sigourney who look the same every week. it just puts a bad taste in my mouth, and it just does not come out. Well, it doesn't come out great. It's like, why did you wait? We'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get there. Coco went home, episode 3. I don't believe she deserved the bottom that week. Granted, her look also was not great. I just don't. Yeah, I think her bottom placement was fair. I just don't like that critique they gave her. It just felt out of nowhere, had no real reason behind it. And again, y'all letting other girls slide like Jade or Sigourney. Actually, I can give a pass to Jade because Jade at least switched it up the week before. And at this point, Sigourney had just done pretty for 3 weeks in a row with no variation. Hell, her first outfit, her first and third outfit, first and third episodes were pretty much the same. It was a gown revealed into a sexy outfit. If that's what she wants to give, fine, perfect. But don't be surprised if you go onto a TV show where people are going to be wanting versatility and you give the same thing every week. Nobody's going to be surprised. I'm just going to say, we'll get there. Episode 4. Episode 4, and this is something I did not mention in my Mary video. Episode 4 is the first time in the entire series where I actually had a bit of a disagreement with Mary. I agree with what she said 100%, but the way she was delivering it is where I disagreed. It was imperative for them not to do just pretty for the challenge. And it is important to, have your stuff together and all that stuff. But the way it was said, it did not paint Mary in a good light at all. I still love Mary, and I'm still 100% believing this is a result of an edit, because other queens in the past have come out and said that Dragula's edit is just as bad as Drag Race's edit. Hollow Eve, perfect example, has said on record that the way she was edited on the show was not accurate at all to how she actually was. So that is how I will take Mary Cherry. I do believe there's a lot that is being left out about Mary Cherry and Sigourney Beaver. This was sad. This was a sad episode for me because up until that point, Mary was my favorite queen, and she still is my favorite queen of the season. I think she's hilarious. I think she has amazing one-liners. I never really had an issue. I'll say it here just because Mary's not going to appear beyond this episode, other than the reunion. Mary, and this is coming from a woman who also does participate in the art of drag. I did not consider Mary's actions to be misogynistic like other people seem to. Never once did I get the vibe that she was this way towards Sigourney because she's a woman. It's never registered to me that way at all. Otherwise, she'd be acting that way towards Sarah, too. And we'll get to Sarah in a minute. Sarah, she's BFFs with Sarah in real life. And I do feel this is just a situation where two people just don't get along. That is what it should be viewed as, not, oh, Mary, you're a misogynist. I hope you die. I hope you burn. I hope you go through stuff. That is stuff that is coming out of this fan base. And I wish I could say I'm surprised, but I'm not. So I'm not going to ramble too much on. Mary went home this episode. Personally, don't think she should have. I personally think Sarah should have gone home. just because at that point in time, Sarah just had the worst record. So I think it should have been between her and Jade. Because it's not like Jade's been given that much anyways. Episode 5. There's not much to say here. It's the Glamour Challenge. I was so happy that the other queens were finally calling it out and saying, look, you give the same thing every week. I didn't mind it this week because the actual challenge was Glamour. I didn't mind it as much this week because it was, again, the challenge. So what else was she going to do? I don't think she should have won this challenge, but I get why she won. So I'm not upset over it. Sarah. So the bottom 3 of this episode is Zavaleta, Sarah, and Hoso. And surprise, surprise, Sarah is the one that goes home. She's been in the bottom majority of her run. To be fair, though, some of the bottom placements she had, I don't fully agree with, but I also understand why she had them. Like, for instance, in episode 4, if it was a bottom 2, I think it should have been Jade and Mary, because they were the worst. They were the worst. There was no other way around it. Episode 6 was immensely satisfying to me because it was like, first of all, about time the Boulets finally call it out. I don't know why you waited 3 episodes in to call out Coco doing the same thing, but you waited 6 episodes to realize Sigourney is just doing the same thing every week. Why did you wait 6? Why did you wait 6 episodes to tell her she's doing the same thing and needs to switch it up? You should have told her that episode 3. That should have been your cue. Had you told her that episode 3, we would have got a lot more variety. Her looks would have been a lot less predictable. And she would have been able to do things more. Because again, she's just up until this point, she was just resting on pretty. Which, yes, she is pretty. There's no taking that away. There's nothing wrong with being pretty. But if that is all you have, if that's all you can give is pretty, then baby, I'm sorry to tell you, it's not impressive. It gets boring. It gets predictable. It gets tiring. Like, literally, I already knew. When episode 5 was airing, I already knew what she was going to wear. I already knew what she was going to wear, and it was obvious. Episode 6, I was hoping I'd be surprised, but what she gave was like, no, that's what she wears every week. Episode 6, it was between her and Jade, and I feel it was justified to have Jade go home. I do want to say this, though, because it's the Hairy Monster Challenge. I see a lot of people giving Zava hate over this online. First things first, I'm going to say this right out the gate. The reason Zava was low over Jade is for a couple of different reasons. Firstly, the challenge was Hairy Monster. And while Zava's look wasn't exactly great, it at least fit the category more than Jade's. Jade's, while it was a good look by itself, for the category of Hairy Monster, it didn't scream Hairy Monster. It screamed more old creepy witch. Which again, been amazing for any other challenge, but this particular challenge, it just didn't make the mark. It was not great. So that is why Zava was safe that episode. because although her look wasn't great, it at least fit the category. Jade's did not. Yeah, so surprise, surprise, Jade goes home. Episode 7. Now, this is the one that everybody has mixed opinions on. So I will say what I think. It is the Extra Sister acting challenge. It's, like I said, I'm kind of speeding through these because my main point is talking about what I think about the top 4. Episode 7, we're at top 5. It's an acting challenge, the Extra Sisters acting challenge. I actually don't have any real disagreements here. I personally think it should have just been a bottom 2, not a bottom 3. But I get what they were doing. Hoso was the clear winner of this challenge. There's no other way around it. She was the clear winner of this challenge. She did the best in the acting challenge and had the best runway look. Saint and Dolly, I would have, they're honestly interchangeable for me. For the acting challenge, they did about the same for me. I think Dolly had a more polished look on the runway, but I also liked Saint's look, so I understand why it was between those two. And yeah. Zavaleta, I actually thought was hilarious at the start of the challenge, but then started losing momentum halfway in. I feel the main reason she was in the bottom was because of that floor show presentation. Had she not fallen on the stage, she probably would have at least been safe. Then we get to Siggy. Siggy was okay in the challenge. Nothing memorable, just, the usual hunchback character. It's okay. Her runway. First things first. About time you switched it up. About time you gave us something other than pretty. However, I do agree with the Boulet brothers. This is by far the most basic outfit of the night. It is a piece of fabric wrapped around your waist. And you called it a day. It's not exciting. It's great you finally did something different, but it's not exciting. So I understand why you were in the bottom. Episode 8, this is the one everyone's talking about at the moment, so I'm not going to really dwell on it too much. I was happy to see Mary come back for a brief mini challenge, which always good to see Mary. Always good to see her give those sassy one-liners. But episode 8, I'm not really going to touch on it too much because, again, there's not much to talk about. The main thing is the top 4. So episode 8, winner is Dolly. Surprise, surprise. Dolly looked the best on the runway. And then the bottom 3 are, the others. So I'll go over each of the looks, and then I'm going to say I'll briefly touch on the Cauldron thing that people are talking about at the moment. Okay, so Runway Looks, Dolly's perfect, makes sense why she won. Hoso's was actually my second favorite. I actually liked the take she gave on this. Very different, very good. I liked it. I personally would have put her, if there was a high placement this episode, she would have been the high placement. Saint, I like the fact that she went outside of the box. And I like the fact that she went with a mime. And while the makeup was impeccable, I do have to agree this outfit is quite simple. And then we get to Siggy. Oh, Siggy. The category was killer clown. You gave us clown the house down. But where's your killer? Where is the killer? On top of that, you had several malfunctions on that stage that night. You tripped over your balloons. You almost fell over multiple times. And I don't know. Again, I'm aware a lot of fabrics look different in person than they do on TV. But I didn't like the fabric of this outfit. It just looked very cheap. This looks like something I could find at a thrift store. It's just very cheap. I like the look. I know, shocking. I like a Sigourney look. I like the look, but I don't think it was near the best of the category. I personally feel that yeah, she was her and Saint were the clear bottom two. If there was a bottom two this episode, it was clearly her and Saint. So let's go to the Cauldron. Hoso pretty much, and they do this every season. Keep this in mind. This is not the first time they've asked this question in a top 4 episode. They're like, who do you think should be in the top 3? They do this every season. They did it in Landon's season. They did it on season 2, and they did it on season 1, where they ask who they think should be there. So main thing people are pointing out is what Hoso said on here. So first things first, we did not get to hear Hoso's full thoughts on it because she got rudely cut off. So no, I do not consider what Hoso in this Cauldron said as an attack. I personally feel it was just as simple. I think us 3 would be the best top 3 because I think we represent the brand the best. And by representing the brand the best, they represent, that they have overcame a lot. They have the best records. She didn't get to say that, though, because she got cut off halfway through for Sigourney to throw another tantrum. Which, again, I understand why she went off. I understand why Sigourney was upset and going off and just, doing that. But it was, for me, it just felt like an unnecessary tantrum. There was no reason to go off that much. Granted, I don't know everything that was said there. So for all I know, Hoso could have said something far more insidious that didn't make the edit. But from what we're seeing in the edit, I didn't see anything she said that should have caused her to go from 1 to 100 that quickly. It just is like, I don't know. I didn't like that from her. It just felt like, okay, girl, you know damn well that's not what she meant. You know that's not what she meant. Especially when, again, Dolly's agreeing with her. Dolly agreed with Hoso. Saint only said you because she was scared because you just went off right now. Sorry, it's the truth. So I'm not going to go into I'm not going to go into who got eliminated and who didn't, because I feel it's obvious what's actually happening, but sure, we'll pretend it's not. So my thoughts on the top 4, and I will say what they are in order. Hoso, I think, had a good start, started flopping a little bit towards the middle, but damn did she pick herself back up real quickly once she got that challenge win, and then she got the other challenge win. Hoso's been doing good. I feel Hoso has more than proven herself, more than risen against the odds. Saint, I feel, I'm not gonna lie, Saint, I kind of forget is there sometimes. Just because, and I'm not blaming this on her, I'm blaming it on the edit. The edit is not showing her that much at all. Saint has consistently been in the background almost every episode. Even the episode she won, she barely had any screen time. I don't know, she just has like an invisible edit, and the only thing she has is, oh, I'm trying to prove myself because I won Resurrection. There's nothing there for her. So I don't have any thoughts on her. I would say third place just because she really does not have a story. She's just kind of there. I already said Hoso. I'll start with Siggy before I go to Dolly. Siggy, I didn't really like a lot of her this season. I found her looks to be quite boring. I found them to be very repetitive. I found them to be very predictable a lot of the time. Like I knew, majority of the time I already knew what she was going to wear before she even wore it. Same makeup, same eye contacts, same silhouette, same everything. It's just the same. And by the time she did switch it up, it was far too late. I kind of found her to be annoying this season just because I didn't like her attitude. I don't know, just the attitude she walked in with was very, I'm better than every single one of you. I'm prettier than every single one of you. Always, like, people don't pay attention to this because they're like, she's this, and this. No, she is consistently tearing down everyone's drag in the confessionals every single week. She give me a second, invalidated Mary's drag. She's invalidated other people's drag. She's just always tearing other people's drags down. It's just not fun to watch. And don't get me wrong, yeah, I do agree Mary could have eased up on some episodes, and Zava could have definitely eased up on the first two episodes. But for the most part, I felt like what Zava was saying was 100% correct most of the time towards Sigourney. And I feel people are just too quick to villainize Zava and Mary because, you know, racism. And they're like, they see Sigourney as this thing that needs protecting all the time. She can handle herself. Clearly, we've seen her yell more than anyone else on this season, and she can handle herself just fine. Personally, though, I don't think she's going to win. I think of all the contestants that are left in the top four, I feel she has the least likely chance to win just because she's flopped for more than half of the competition at this point. She had, again, you can argue the rock challenge. I will give you that one. She could have at least been low or safe that week, but she was also the team captain, so it fell onto her. The Hairy Monster challenge, she 100% deserved the bottom four. The Exorcisters 100% deserved the bottom four. Even this Killer Clown episode, she deserved the bottom four. It was clear. She just has not been doing great. The same look every week. The same old thing every week. I just don't see winner potential in this casting. People want to say she should win because she's a woman. And y'all can sit here and say that's not the case, but that is the case. A large majority of people I have seen online worship the ground she walks on. And if you dare dislike anything about her, you're instantly labeled a misogynist, even though, first things first, y'all need to actually learn what misogyny means before just throwing that word around. It means hatred or dislike of women. If you dislike her because she is a woman, then you are a misogynist. But if you dislike her because you don't like her personality or don't like her fashion, that's not misogyny, baby. That's a preference. For example, I like Hollow Eve's fashion, but I'm not a fan of Sigourney's fashion. Is that because she's a woman? No, I'm a woman too. I know what that's like. I know what it's like to be in the community where they constantly tell you, you can't be this because you're a woman. You can't be this because you're a woman. You need to be a drag king if you're going to do drag. I know. I've been through it. And the thing is, I've been through that on top of being invalidated for my own gender by both these types of queens and drag queens. I know what it's like to go through discrimination based on who you are as a person. I know what it's like. So I want this to be clear. I do not want this to come across like I hate her. I want her to suffer. No, I don't hate anybody on this season. Not a single person on this season I dislike. I just am not impressed by what she gives, and I'm allowed to feel that way. So with that being said, I don't think she's going to win. If she does, they basically kissed her ass the whole season anyways. So Dolly is my winner. Dolly, first things first, Dolly has been whooping your asses the whole time on the season. Dolly's been in the top every single week, other than 1 week. She's been in the top every single week. Every single week. And her record is very close to Landon's record from season 3. And I feel Dolly's type of drag is a type of drag. I feel Dolly is the type of drag that is even less represented than Sigourney's is or Hollow Eve's is. Because Dolly is one of those rare situations where we got I don't know their gender identity in real life, so I'm just going to use the term that I think is best. I will say Hyper King, just to be fair, because, you know, someone who biologically is male, but still does king drag, that is something that is rare to find. And I know someone's going to point out, I said she. I have spoken to Dolly, and Dolly says she is fine with all pronouns for her drag character. Should that change by the end of this video, I will correct it. But that is why I say she. So Dolly serves us something we have not had in the franchise before, on top of the fact that Dolly is the one that's evolved the most. We saw her as a little baby queen in season 2 evolve into this ambiguous clown-like character in Resurrection, and in season 4 Hey, Dragonfire. And in season 4, she she's an entirely new character, and it's gorgeous. People often want to tear down Hoso and Dolly for saying, "Oh, they look the same every week." Well, no, they don't. Dolly already gave us Glamour in episode 5. Dolly already switched her makeup up in episode 4 for the performance. And I feel Dolly is the one that should win. She has the strongest record, by far has a much more interesting and compelling story. And I feel that Dolly would open up a lot more doors in terms of drag. I feel would open up so many doors. She deserves to win. She deserves to take that crown. She has proven herself time and time and time and time again. Every episode, every single episode, minus one episode, she has been high. Not safe, high. She's been in the top every single episode and won 2 of those episodes. This is a situation, and personally, Dolly should have won a few of them. I feel Dolly should win because Dolly worked the hardest of the 4, has overcome the most, and Dolly has... Well, Dolly has a representation that we don't often see in media. You could name, like, you could sit here and say, I say Bioqueens. If you don't like that term, that's fine. I've tried saying AFAB. It does not roll off the tongue well, so I just don't say it. Bioqueens are definitely an underrepresented group in the drag community, but I do feel Biokings are even more underrepresented. Because I could list you at least 7 Bioqueens. Lacey Noel, Sigourney Beaver, Hollow Eve, Victoria Scone, Coco Bardot, Geneva Convention. It's another one. There's plenty. Like, for instance, sorry, I had to get something off my leg. Jimmy Pink is another one. Let's see. And I could keep listing them because there's a lot. Miss Malice is another one. Creme Fatale is another one. And then we get to Biokings. There's really not that many. They exist. They're definitely there. But they're just not common. And they're severely underrepresented. The only other one I can think of is Axel Andrews. That's the only other one I could think of. It's just, they're just not represented. I'm sure there's a lot more, but they're just not represented very well. But Dolly represents an underrepresented group, on top of doing the best, on top of having the most fully fleshed out story of the top 4, and on top of having the best looks. Now, granted, we still don't know the top 4 episode. I'm assuming it's a top 4. If it's a top 3, I will correct it later. But the top 4 episode, where they have to give the last looks, which are traditional, a ball, glamour, filth, horror, we know. It happens every season. I'm looking forward to seeing what Dolly can do. I'm looking forward to seeing what Dolly can do. I'm also looking forward to seeing the reunion this episode because we get more Mary. All right, so this is to say these have been my thoughts on on pretty much the entire season. I will say my thoughts on the winner when it happens. It's not going to happen this week. It's going to happen next week, unless they decide to upload both episodes. It's probably going to be next week, which is fine. So these have been my thoughts on Dragula season 1. Oh, sorry, season 4. Season 1 was ages ago. These have been my thoughts on Dragula season 4. Hope you enjoyed them. I'm open to disagreements. If you disagree with anything I have said in this video, feel free to comment in the section below. Just be sure to be civil, because if you immediately come out the gate and start cussing me out, start getting angry, I'm not even going to respond to you. I'm just going to block you. I'm going to block you and remove your comment. I'm saying that now. So feel free to disagree with me. Feel free to be politely saying if I get something wrong, but do not start something, because it's not going to end well. This has been Kunimitsu 877 signing out.